stirred up, but Afrojack has been talking shit about you. Anything you want to say? Who? Afrojack? Who? That's what I thought. Thank you, sucker.
Beyond being just mentor and student, Eminem and 50 Cent have carried themselves like true brothers. They've shown up together at award shows, backed each other during beefs, and stood side by side whenever it mattered. When it comes to conflicts, both have reputations for being ruthless. They've taken on rivals like Ja Rule and even called out former associates like The Game. Neither one shies away from tension, and both seem comfortable when controversy surrounds them. Eminem and 50 don't just involve themselves in disputes. They treat them like part of the culture. One of the most memorable cases linked to them involves The Game. In August 2023, Eminem teamed up with Easy Mill on a track called Realist. Although it was meant to showcase Easy Mill, Eminem's part became the highlight. His verse was sharp, and he pointed it directly at The Game, reigniting their long-running feud. This wasn't just showing off his ability, it was Eminem reaffirming his position and daring anyone to question it. He made sure his words carried weight, especially since The Game had made comments before about his music not being played in clubs. Eminem used that claim against him. He rapped that The Game's songs were only still heard in clubs because he continued to perform them himself. The shot connected, especially with the history behind their issues. The tension traces back to Black Slim Shady, The Game's long diss track aimed at Eminem. That record mocked him and reflected the ongoing strain between The Game and 50 Cent as well. For many people, this conflict has always been about more than one track. It's tied to years of disagreements and shifting alliances that started back in their G-Unit days. The background starts with Dr. Dre spotting The Game's talent and deciding to bring him in. Dre not only signed him but also moved him into G-Unit, which was then led by 50 Cent. It wasn't a casual signing, it was a way to boost his profile quickly by attaching him to an already successful crew. This helped The Game gain credibility almost instantly. To some, it was a smart play to put him on the biggest stage possible. To others, it looked like he was leaning too heavily on 50's momentum instead of building his own path. Still, joining G-Unit tied him directly to hip-hop's most dominant names. When his debut album The Documentary dropped, it proved Dre's move worked. The album was praised by critics, picked up by fans, and confirmed that The Game had skill and presence. Songs like How We Do and Hate It or Love It quickly became hits, showing he had the ability to deliver memorable tracks. The project was a success on all levels, stamping him as a serious figure in rap while also keeping his ties to 50 Cent and Eminem close. But success didn't prevent conflict. Tension began to grow between The Game and 50 Cent, and rumors started spreading. Small cracks in their relationship began to show, and it became obvious something wasn't right. During the video shoot for Hate It or Love It, reports surfaced that 50 refused to sit next to The Game in the car. That story raised eyebrows and sparked talk that their partnership was falling apart. No one outside knew the full details, but it was clear the two were no longer on steady ground. That moment became the first sign of a real split. What began as a promising connection inside G-Unit was turning into a serious divide. The Game's growing success gave him independence, but it also created distance from the crew that helped put him on. With Eminem standing firmly by 50 Cent, the fallout became even sharper. The feud that followed brought diss tracks, interviews, and a break that carried on for years. Even now, the history of that tension continues to surface whenever their names get mentioned together.
Yeah, that's true. Those rumors are true, and I'm not gonna deny them.
So did you date him?
No. Can I just clarify that I did not have a physical relationship with him? I did not have an intimate relationship. I've been with less men than I can, than on one hand. So
when the video came out, it was well received, but the situation quickly shifted once 50 Cent gave a radio interview. During the broadcast, he stunned listeners by declaring that The Game was no longer part of G-Unit. The announcement lit a spark, and not long after, The Game showed up at the station, trying to confront the matter directly. Tension flared, leading to a scuffle where shots were fired in the chaos. In the aftermath, Both sides attempted to soften the incident, presenting a united front to avoid further fallout. By March 2005, the two appeared together, announcing a truce to move on from the drama. That agreement was short-lived. The game's departure from G-Unit left him open to criticism, with former associates questioning his trustworthiness and authenticity. Facing the backlash, the game fired back with his lengthy diss track 300 bars and run-in. The record cut deep and reignited the hostility, setting off a wave of lyrical battles. From then on, the feud became one of the most closely watched rivalries in rap, with supporters split between both camps. Each release added fuel to the fire, proving neither side wanted to back down. The exchange kept growing more hostile as time passed. In 2006, the game tried to shift direction by signaling that he wanted reconciliation. He suggested that he was willing to let go of the issues and repair the bond with 50 Cent. However, the effort didn't land. By then, the damage was irreversible, and 50 gave no reaction at all. The tension lingered, and more songs continued to pour out, keeping the rivalry alive. Over time, the catalog of tracks aimed at each other grew larger. Before long, the back and forth ballooned into one of the longest and most crowded feuds, with over 100 songs tied to the dispute. By 2010, the game was still looking for closure. He went on social media, asking openly for the feud to end and for the animosity to stop. Even then, 50 Cent stayed unbothered, refusing to respond. Not ready to give up, the game pushed further, launching a petition in 2012 calling for a G-Unit reunion. His idea was that fans could push the movement forward and force a resolution. Still, the crew quickly shut it down, making it clear they weren't interested in revisiting the past. The message was obvious. G-Unit had no plans of letting him back in. When 2014 came, G-Unit hit the stage together again at Summer Jam, but the game wasn't included. The performance underlined his separation from the group, confirming that things would not return to how they once were. For supporters who still hoped for a reunion, this moment served as proof that the rift was permanent. Then in 2022, the conflict resurfaced unexpectedly when 50 took a shot online. He mocked the game for posing in a photo with Lloyd Banks, stirring fresh questions about intentions and reopening old wounds in public. Later on, the game said that his conflict with 50 was finished and that he no longer held any issues. His attempt at closure seemed genuine, but it didn't last long. Soon after, a new dispute emerged, and this time, Eminem became the target. The game released a track titled Black Slim Shady, where his attacks went beyond Eminem himself. He included jabs at 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, and even involved Eminem's family, showing he wasn't interested in keeping boundaries. The record was designed to get attention and provoke a reaction. Black Slim Shady was a full-on attack. The game used the track to challenge Eminem's legacy, mock his career, and highlight personal matters in a way that couldn't be ignored. It was clear that the record was meant to ignite conflict, pushing Eminem into the spotlight alongside him. Unlike the feud with 50, which had history and personal betrayal behind it, this clash was more about taking aim at Eminem's position in the culture. By going after someone as established as Eminem, the game ensured the spotlight stayed firmly on him.
The reason I wasn't on the Super Bowl is because I'm not a safe artist. So it's just like, he's not safe, so they went with.
And when Black Slim Shady dropped, it shook the hip-hop community. Some listeners praised the game for being daring and sharp with his verses, while others were stunned that he would target someone as established as Eminem. There was also a camp that dismissed the song entirely, saying it sounded like a cry for attention more than a real diss. The release sparked heavy debates across the culture, with supporters dividing into sides. Some stood firmly with Eminem, while others applauded the game's bold move. Online platforms were flooded with reactions, arguments, and comparisons. The question then shifted from who won the battle to why the game started it in the first place. A major piece of the puzzle points to the Super Bowl 56 halftime show on February 13, 2022. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and others delivered a historic performance, but the game wasn't included. Given his ties to Dre and his contributions to West Coast rap, Being left out seemed to fuel his frustration. Reports suggested the omission weighed on him, and it likely played into his decision to go after Eminem later. The game didn't stay silent about it either. He reposted content questioning why his name wasn't part of that lineup, showing he felt the snub deeply. On the I Am Athlete podcast, the game opened up about how much being excluded hurt him. He admitted that he believed the industry viewed him as too risky to be placed on such a stage. In his mind, his style was too raw, too unpredictable, and too controversial for a polished performance like the Super Bowl. To him, that wasn't just disappointing, it was insulting. It made him feel as if his authenticity and contributions to LA hip-hop were being ignored. In his view, he deserved to stand next to Dre and Snoop that night, and not being there was proof of how he was being sidelined.
Bad. He looked like he got a pack of hot dogs in a
By March 2022, the game raised the stakes even further on Drink Champs with Napare and DJ FN. He aimed at both Eminem and Dr. Dre, stirring another wave across hip-hop. During the sit-down, he stirred controversy by claiming Kanye West had supported him more in recent years than Dre ever had. He also took things a step further, insisting he was a better rapper than Eminem. On top of that, he openly challenged Eminem to a versus battle, saying he was ready to prove himself on stage. The remarks instantly sparked pushback online, but he didn't walk anything back. Instead, he posted a video on Instagram doubling down, saying he truly believed in his words. The tension only grew when he suggested a direct rap battle or even a track together as proof of who held the upper hand. That left many wondering if the rivalry between him, Eminem, and even 50 Cent would ever settle, or if it was bound to keep flaring up. But just as that conflict was unfolding, another one was bubbling up, this time involving Eminem, Mariah Carey, and Nick Cannon. At first, Mariah denied any personal connection to Eminem. But on his Relapse album, Eminem released Bagpipes from Baghdad, where he referenced their past while throwing sharp insults at Nick Cannon, who was her husband at the time. His bars left little room for interpretation. He rapped lines questioning Mariah and warning Nick directly, telling him to back off. He followed with more personal digs, pushing the feud into the spotlight. Cannon fired back with a Tumblr post, threatening legal action and calling out Eminem as someone who needed to be confronted. He even wrote that Eminem had just become his full-time job, signaling he was ready to go all in on the battle. Around the same time, Mariah dropped her single Obsessed, complete with a video where she dressed like Eminem, which many saw as a response to his disses. The back and forth quieted for years, but in 2019, it picked up again when Nick Cannon spoke on T.'s Expeditious podcast. He recalled a flight from Africa with Eminem, where Slim Shady played a new diss aimed at Mariah. Cannon said he wrote Eminem a letter afterward, showing respect but also demanding he stop disrespecting his wife. Many thought Cannon's approach sounded level-headed, but Eminem fired back through music again. On Fat Joe's Lord Above, Eminem reignited the feud with cutting verses aimed at Nick, painting him as weak and ridiculing his marriage to Mariah. Cannon didn't hold back. He hit Instagram, mocking Eminem's feature and inviting him to face off on his MTV show Wild 'N Out. Then came his diss track The Invitation, where he went after Eminem personally, dragging up references to Kim, Haley, and Mariah. The lyrics made it clear Cannon was aiming for a knockout. The diss polarized listeners, with some applauding his defense of Mariah, while others saw it as forced and unnecessary. Meanwhile, blogs and entertainment outlets amplified every jab, turning the beef into a media circus that stretched well beyond the music itself. The tension escalated with constant replies on social media, interviews, and more songs, making it impossible to ignore. Cannon even sampled Eminem's older, controversial tracks, trying to use his own history against him. 50 Cent also inserted himself, throwing insults at Nick and dismissing his rapping ability altogether. While Cannon tried to prove himself lyrically, 50 labeled him corny and said battling Eminem wasn't a fight he could ever win. The exchanges made the feud seem less about the music and more like an ongoing saga, with each side trying to outlast the other. For now, the pace has slowed down. Both Eminem and Canon are more focused on personal projects, but the history keeps people speculating. Many believe it wouldn't take much to reignite the battle again, since old wounds never fully healed. Every time either of them drops a verse, gives an interview, or posts online, fans search for subtle references that could signal another round. Whether it was personal anger, industry strategy, or both, the feud grew far bigger than just one track. Still, as the smoke settled, another legendary clash was already in motion, one involving 50 Cent and Ja Rule, stretching back to the late 1990s. It started back in 1999 when Ja Rule was robbed at gunpoint while filming a music video. During the stick-up, one of 50 Cent's associates allegedly snatched his chain. Later, 50 claimed that when he crossed paths with Ja at a club afterward, Ja gave him nothing but cold energy. Ja, however, denied that version of events, saying the robbery was real but not because of their problems. According to him, the real tension came when 50 felt disrespected by Murder Inc. during the filming of Ya's single Murder for Life. That slight pushed 50 to release Lives on the Line, a diss record aimed directly at Ya and Murder Inc. The track was meant for his unreleased debut Power of the Dollar, which never officially came out. While 50's project was shelved, Ya's own debut, Veni Vedi Vici, became a huge success, selling millions and solidifying his position in rap. That contrast added more weight to their rivalry. Things worsened in 2000 when both artists were scheduled at the same nightclub in Atlanta. What began as a routine night quickly turned into a heated argument and then violence. The clashes didn't stop there. Later that year, Murder Inc. and G-Unit crossed paths again at the Hit Factory Studios in New York. After hearing 50 was recording there, Ya showed up prepared, leading to a violent altercation where Black Child stabbed 50. That bloody confrontation sealed the hatred, setting the stage for a lasting war. Between 1999 and 2002, the conflict shaped into one of hip-hop's most talked-about feuds. By 2002, 50 Cent released Wangsta, a single many believed was aimed at Ja Rule. The song became a breakout hit, climbing to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and pushing 50 into the mainstream spotlight. Instead of ending the feud, the success only added fuel to the fire. That same year, Irv Gotti of Murder Inc. accused 50 of having filed an order of protection against Ja Rule and his crew. The claim threatened to hurt his street reputation, but 50 denied it. It was later revealed the order had been filed by police, not by 50 himself. From 2002 through 2003, things hit a boiling point. Both camps traded diss tracks without pause. 50 targeted Ya with songs like I Smell, while Ya answered with his own records, making sure the battle remained active in the music and in the streets. 50 and G-Unit also dropped back down and a reworked version of Tupac's Hail Mary, mocking Ya's comparisons to Pac. Ya fought back with Loose Change and Guess Who Shot Ya, creating one of the most heated exchanges fans had ever seen. By then, the beef had grown too big to ignore, with each new track sparking anticipation. Years later, between 2007 and 2019, the tension never fully disappeared. In 2007, Ya accused 50 of copying his style, claiming his sound changed after signing with Shady Records. By 2013, he admitted in an interview that 50 had essentially won their feud. Around the same time, both rappers ended up seated on the same row during a flight, a coincidence Ya even tweeted about. Fans thought peace might be possible, but hopes quickly faded as the shots resumed not long after. That same year, during Hot 90's Summer Jam, 50 mocked Ja Rule again, performing I Smell and reminding the audience the feud wasn't finished. In 2014, Ja Rule released his memoir Unruly, The Highs and Lows of Becoming a Man, where he accused 50 of cooperating with authorities by allegedly giving information that helped spark a federal probe into Murder Inc. 50 denied it completely in 2015. Even as other rap feuds like Drake vs. Meek Mill grabbed headlines, Ya and 50 continued trading insults on Twitter, calling their rivalry deeper and more personal. Then, in 2017, Ya became linked to the failed Fire Festival, which left fans stranded and furious. 50 mocked him relentlessly on social media, clowning him for the fiasco and using it as another chance to attack. By 2018, things escalated again. Online, Ya fired shots on Twitter, and 50 responded with his usual trolling, using memes and jokes that went viral. That same year, 50 pulled a stunt by claiming he purchased 200 front row tickets to one of Ya's shows in Las Vegas just so the seats would be empty. He even shared edited pictures of himself sitting alone in the rows, turning the rivalry into a public joke. Then, in 2019, Ya called out 50's TIs with Tekashi 669 comparing the two and labeling both as rats. The insult added another layer to the already long list of jabs between them. Eminem's role in the feud mostly came from loyalty to 50. Still, Ya didn't hesitate to take shots at him either. On Loose Change, Ya attacked Eminem's family, mentioning his mother, Kim, and even his daughter, Haley. The disrespect set Eminem off, leading him to fire back with tracks like Haley's Revenge and his own version of Hail Mary featuring 50 and Busta Rhymes. Ya responded with Clap Back, while Eminem hit back with Go to Sleep. By 2004, Eminem made it clear he was done, dropping a track saying his label had already won the fight. For him, the feud wasn't worth the energy anymore. By the mid-2000s, both fans and critics were pointing out that Ya Rule seemed to keep mentioning 50 Cent and Eminem just to remain part of the conversation. At one point, Ya hinted that he might let the feud go, but later he made it clear that would never happen. He doubled down, insisting that he and 50 would always be enemies, making their conflict one of the longest and most bitter feuds in hip-hop history. Hip-hop has always thrived on tension, and in this case, it only grew larger over the years. Around the same time, another feud was brewing, this one involving Eminem and Joe Budden. The roots of that clash stretched back to 2011. That year, Slaughterhouse, a group made up of Joe Budden, Royce da 5'9", Joel Ortiz, and Crooked I, signed with Shady Records under Eminem. Fans were excited, believing the group would finally gain the recognition their underground buzz deserved. But behind the excitement, problems started to build. Eminem took on the role of executive producer for their major label debut Welcome to Our House. His influence shifted the project's direction from the gritty style that made Slaughterhouse popular to a more polished sound with commercial hooks. Joe Budden, who built a loyal fan base through mixtapes and raw lyricism, saw this as a major setback. For him, the shift represented a loss of identity. He believed the group could have thrived on their own without industry compromise. In his mind, Slaughterhouse was better positioned to dominate independently than under Eminem's control. That frustration lingered and eventually spilled over into public comments. Joe Budden started using his platform to voice his dissatisfaction, saying flat out that Slaughterhouse would have been more successful without Eminem's involvement. He criticized the production, calling the beats Eminem provided terrible and completely wrong for their sound. Joe also accused Eminem and manager Paul Rosenberg of mishandling the group and boxing them into a corner that destroyed their momentum. As tension built, the situation remained unspoken until 2018, when Eminem released his album Kamikaze. On it, he aimed shots at several rappers, including Joe Budden. That sparked reactions across the industry, with artists like Machine Gun Kelly, Bizarre from D12, and even Lil Yachty getting caught in the crossfire. But Joe Budden's response stood out the most, taking the conflict to a new level. On his podcast, Joe Budden went in on Eminem with a rant that questioned his character, his management choices, his place in the rap game, and even his lyrical ability. This wasn't just another critique. It was personal. He felt Eminem had failed the group instead of guiding it to greater success. The fallout grew worse when Cake Sang Crooked, another Slaughterhouse member, spoke on Instagram Live and revealed Joe had long been unhappy with how Eminem handled the group. That gave more context to the bitterness. Things escalated again when Joe criticized Eminem's Revival album, which many believed provoked Eminem's subliminal shots at him on Chloroseptic. Bizarre from D12 came to Eminem's defense, calling Joe out, but Joe didn't back off. Instead, he raised the stakes, going so far as to threaten Bazaar physically. 50 Cent soon entered the mix, throwing gasoline on the fire. On Instagram, 50 trolled Joe Budden, warning him that an ass whooping was waiting. The feud now had multiple players, pulling Eminem, Joe, and G-Unit's leader into a heated standoff. Around this time, Eminem sat down for a detailed interview with Sway in 2018. The conversation covered the backlash to Revival, the surprise release of Kamikaze, and the ongoing disputes. When asked about Joe Budden, Eminem explained his disappointment. He said that while he had always promoted Slaughterhouse and given them opportunities, Joe used his platform to tear him down. That, for Eminem, felt like a betrayal. He made it clear they were never close friends but expected at least professional loyalty.